As the floodwaters swallowed the town, a desperate mother dog clung to a piece of wood. The raging flood swept through the small town, carrying away everything in its path. But amid the chaos, one injured German shepherd stood her ground on a broken wooden raft, shielding her tiny puppies with her trembling body. What happened next left rescuers and onlookers in tears. But on a small patch of higher ground, a lone German shepherd stood shivering, her fur soaked, her eyes locked on three tiny, helpless puppies. Water lapped closer with each passing minute, forcing the mother to move her pups to a precarious spot, an abandoned wooden pallet caught in the current. Her body trembled from exhaustion and fear, yet she refused to leave her babies. A jagged cut on her leg dripped blood into the floodwater. But she didn't falter. Her instincts were clear: protect her puppies, no matter the cost. Around her, the storm howled, lightning cracked across the sky, and the world seemed to shrink to this single desperate moment. A mother's battle against nature itself to keep her fragile family alive. The floodwaters rose higher, creeping toward the wooden pallet where the German shepherd crouched protectively over her puppies. Each wave threatened to tip the fragile platform, sending them into the swirling current. The mother's muscles ached from hours of standing guard, yet her eyes remained fierce, scanning the water for any sign of danger. A sudden surge of water slammed into the pallet, and one puppy squealed in terror, nearly sliding into the flood. With lightning reflexes, the mother grabbed the pup gently by the scruff, pulling it back to safety, her own body now trembling from cold and exhaustion. Rain pounded relentlessly, blurring her vision as the night grew darker. The German shepherd lifted her head and let out a sharp bark, a plea for help to a world that seemed deaf to her suffering. Her leg wound throbbed, and every step sent waves of pain through her body, but she refused to give in. Her puppies huddled against her belly, whimpering softly, unaware of the dangers surrounding them. With every gust of wind and crash of thunder, the mother braced herself, determined to face the storm head-on. Her heart beat with one desperate hope, that somehow, someone would hear her cries before the waters claimed her family. That a faint beam of light finally cut through the curtain of rain. A rescue boat approached slowly, its engine struggling against the raging current. Inside, two volunteers scanned the water with flashlights, their faces tense with worry. Then, one of them gasped. "Over there," he shouted, pointing toward the trembling figure on the drifting pallet. Through the downpour, they saw the German shepherd standing tall, her fur soaked and matted, shielding three tiny puppies beneath her. The sight sent a jolt of urgency through the rescuers. Time was running out, and the family was only moments from disaster. The boat fought its way closer, but the current pushed hard, threatening to drag it past the desperate mother. The volunteers reached out with a long pole, calling softly to calm the frightened dog. But the German shepherd growled in warning, baring her teeth. She was terrified, and in her eyes, these strangers were just another threat to her babies. One rescuer leaned forward, speaking gently through the wind. "It's okay, girl. We're here to help." His voice trembled, but he didn't give up. Slowly, the mother's growl faded to a low whimper as exhaustion and trust began to battle. Her fear. A huge wave struck suddenly, splashing over the pallet and almost sweeping one puppy away. The mother lunged and caught it just in time, her teeth gripping the tiny scruff. That single moment broke the rescuers' hearts. Without hesitation, one man leaped onto the pallet, balancing carefully as the dog trembled. "You're safe now," he whispered, wrapping the shivering puppies in a blanket. The mother, still wary but desperate, finally allowed herself to be lifted. The family's fight for survival wasn't over yet, but for the first time, hope flickered in the storm. The rescuer clung tightly to the slippery pallet as the current tried to rip it from under him. He lifted the trembling puppies into a crate. On the boat, their tiny bodies shivering violently. Each whimper pierced his heart. The mother German shepherd hesitated, her paws gripping the edge of the wooden slab, unwilling to leave her floating island. Her amber eyes darted between the rescuer and the crate, as if asking if her babies would be safe. With a soft, encouraging voice, he reached out his hand. After a tense moment, she leapt, landing clumsily in the boat, drenched and shaking, but finally reunited with her puppies. The boat's engine roared as they turned back toward the rescue center, cutting through the relentless floodwaters. The volunteers held the fragile family close, shielding them from the rain with their jackets. Behind them, the mother dog huddled protectively over her babies, licking their wet fur, her body trembling from exhaustion and relief. The crew remained silent, their hearts heavy with the weight of what they had just witnessed. Everyone on that boat knew that if they had arrived a few minutes later, the story would have ended in tragedy. As the shoreline came into view, the mother let out a soft whine, as if thanking her rescuers. For the first time since the storm began, hope replaced fear in her weary eyes. The rescue team rushed the drenched mother and her puppies into the warm shelter of the local animal clinic. The once ferocious storm outside was now a distant rumble, but the family's ordeal still lingered in every trembling movement. A vet gently wrapped the puppies in soft towels, drying their tiny bodies. While checking for injuries, their squeaky whimpers gradually softened as warmth returned to their fragile frames. Meanwhile, the mother German Shepherd refused to rest until she sniffed and nudged each puppy, confirming they were safe. Her fur was still soaked, her legs wobbled with exhaustion, but the fire of protectiveness in her eyes hadn't dimmed. Under the clinic's bright lights, the vet examined the mother. She had minor cuts, bruises, and a dangerously low body temperature, but nothing that couldn't heal with care. As warm blankets were draped over her, she finally relaxed for the first time in hours, laying her head near her puppies. The rescuers watched silently, their hearts swelling with relief and admiration. One volunteer crouched beside her, whispering, "You're a hero, Mama. You saved them." The dog's eyes fluttered closed, a tear-jerking mix of exhaustion and peace washing over her face. For the first time since the flood began, the family was safe, dry, and together. But none of the rescuers could forget the image of that brave mother, standing alone against a raging storm, fighting for her babies. With everything she had, days passed, and the once-soaked puppies now played on soft blankets, their tiny tails wagging with innocent joy. The mother German Shepherd had regained her strength, her eyes brighter than ever as she watched her little ones tumble around the shelter. Volunteers often paused in their duties to admire the sight, a family that had faced the fury of nature and survived because of a mother's unshakable love. The memory of her clinging to that piece of wood in the flood, refusing to give up, stayed with everyone who had witnessed it. She had become a living symbol of courage. When the family was finally ready for adoption, the rescuers couldn't hold back tears. A kind local family stepped forward, promising to give the mother and her puppies a home where they would never know fear or hunger again. As they drove away, the mother sat proudly in the back seat, her puppies curled against her. She glanced out the window, the world now calm and safe, and let out a soft sigh. That day, every volunteer in the shelter knew they had witnessed something extraordinary, a story of love, survival, and hope that would live in their hearts forever.